The Secret of Glowing Apple. Lila leaned over the kitchen table, her chin resting on her palms. The afternoon sun poured through the window, illuminating the basket of fresh fruits. She smiled, admiring the colors of the apples, oranges, and pears stacked neatly together. But her smile faltered when she noticed something unusual. One apple shimmered faintly, as if a golden flame flickered inside it. Lila squinted and leaned closer. "Grandma," she called, her voice tinged with excitement. Her grandmother, busy stirring a pot of soup, turned her head. "What is it, dear?" "That apple," Lila said, pointing. "It's glowing." Grandma walked over, glanced at the basket, and chuckled softly. Yes, the glowing apple. It's rare but nothing to worry about." "Rare?" Lila asked, picking up the apple. Its surface was warm to the touch, and the glow seemed to grow brighter in her hand. "Some say it's magical," Grandma said, turning back to her soup. "It only appears to those who are destined for something special. But don't you worry about that." Lila stared at the apple, her curiosity piqued. She couldn't look away. Suddenly, the warmth spread through her fingers, and a gentle hum filled the room. "Whoa," she exclaimed, holding it tighter. "Grandma, it's doing something." Before Grandma could respond, the apple's glow enveloped Lila in golden light. The kitchen blurred, and a soft voice whispered in her ear. "Lila, you have been chosen." Lila gasped. "Chosen? For what?" "To restore balance in the land of Everlight," the voice said, echoing faintly. Lila blinked, and the world around her shifted. She was no longer in the kitchen. Instead, she stood in a meadow bathed in twilight, where flowers glowed softly like tiny lanterns. The air smelled of honey and fresh rain. "What is this place?" she whispered, turning in circles. A small creature bounded toward her, startling her. It was like a rabbit but with shimmering feathers and wide, sparkling eyes. "You're finally here," the creature said in a melodic voice. "Me?" Lila asked, clutching the apple. "Yes, you. We've been waiting for someone like you," it said, bouncing excitedly. "The Everlight's heart is fading, and only a brave soul can rekindle it. What happens if it fades?" Lila asked, worried. "The magic of our land will vanish," the creature said solemnly. "The flowers, the rivers, the light, they'll all wither away. Will you help us?" Lila hesitated for a moment, but the warmth of the apple reassured her. "I'll do it. What do I need to do?" The creature's face brightened. "Follow me." It led her through fields of glowing grass until they reached a crystalline lake. The water shimmered with every color imaginable, and at its center, a faint light pulsed beneath the surface. "That's the heart of Everlight," the creature explained. "But to reach it, you must pass 3 trials: truth, kindness, and courage." Lila's reflection in the lake rippled, and suddenly, it spoke. "Are you ready to see who you truly are?" Startled, Lila took a step back. "It talks." "It's part of the trial," the creature whispered. "Answer truthfully, or the trial will end." Lila steadied herself and nodded. "I'm ready." The reflection shifted, showing moments from her life, times she had been afraid to speak her mind or doubted herself. "Do you accept these parts of yourself?" the reflection asked. Lila hesitated, but she nodded. "Yes, they're part of who I am, but I'm learning to be better." The reflection smiled, and the lake glowed brighter. "You've passed the trial of truth." The creature cheered. 1 down, 2 to go. As they walked further, they came across a tree whose branches drooped sadly, its leaves withering. "Poor thing," Lila said, reaching out to touch the bark. The tree spoke in a faint voice. "I'm thirsty, but the river has dried up." Lila looked around and spotted a small stream trickling nearby. She held the glowing apple over the stream, and its light intensified, causing the water to flow more freely. The tree straightened, its leaves turning green again. "Thank you, kind one," it said. "You've passed the trial of kindness," the creature said, beaming. Lila felt a surge of confidence. "What's next?" The creature led her to a dark forest. Shadows loomed over the path, and the air grew colder. "This is the trial of courage," the creature said. "You must face your fears to proceed." As they walked, a giant shadow rose before them, its glowing eyes glaring down at Lila. It growled, shaking the ground beneath her feet. Lila's heart raced, but she gripped the apple tightly. "I'm not afraid of you," she said, her voice steady. The shadow roared louder, but she stood her ground. "You're just trying to scare me, but I won't back down." The shadow dissolved into golden sparks, revealing a glowing orb at the center of the forest. "You've done it," the creature exclaimed. The orb floated toward Lila, merging with the apple in her hand. Its light grew blinding for a moment, and then the entire forest transformed. The flowers bloomed, the air warmed, and the trees sparkled with life. "The heart of Everlight is restored," the creature said, tears of joy in its eyes. "You've saved our world." Lila smiled, her heart full of pride. "I'm glad I could help." The creature bowed. "You'll always be a part of our story." The golden light surrounded Lila again, and she found herself back in the kitchen. The apple was just an ordinary fruit now, but Lila felt changed. "Grandma," she said, turning to her with a grin, "I think I understand why that apple was special." Her grandmother smiled knowingly. "I thought you might." Lila looked out the window, where the sunlight seemed a little brighter. She didn't know if she'd ever return to the land of Everlight, but she carried its magic in her heart.